The West Virginia Secondary Schools Activities Commission, or WVSSAC for short, has announced that they are bringing in the NIL to high school and middle school athletes across the state of West Virginia. I just read through that a little bit of what's going on. Wayne Ryan, who's the executive director, was on Metro News. I saw a little article where they were talking a little bit about the NIL format heading into the 2025-26 season. Basically saying that it's just all about the name and the image and the likeness. Is not going to be promoting their sport, and it's not going to show their. It's not going to support their school in any way. It's just support the athlete, not the sport, not the school. So, I even did an Instagram poll about it to see how people thought about it, and some people think it's a good idea. Some people think it's a bad idea, but you're going to have that. That's how it is these days. But I'm just going to come to you guys saying what you guys think about it. But first, I'm going to ask Jagger what he feels is best. Jagger, do you think that NIL in West Virginia and middle school athletics in West Virginia is a good move?
I have mixed feelings about it. I think that for the future, long term, it can be really good for the athletes, and it's a way to get themselves out there and put themselves on the map, and this is a good way of it. But I think there's an extent to it, and I hope it doesn't go over the extent, and I hope it doesn't turn into 15-year-old kids are getting thousands of dollars. But one thing I really don't like about it, which you mentioned, was they can't show their school through it. And
Yeah.
I think that's what it's all about. It's about high school's about your pride, your school pride, and what it means to play for your school. So that part I don't like, but I do like that they can get themselves out there and put each other on the map.
Absolutely. I like that. And, that's what we were talking about before this podcast here as well. Is like, it's a good idea, but it can also turn into it can turn for the worse as well if things don't get control. But I think from the looks of it, I think it looks pretty good. It looks a little under control, but I don't really like the fact that it doesn't support the school itself, because, the school brings in revenue from these games, both for we're not just talking football games. We're talking basketball. We're talking about golf, cross country events. We even have some, we've had in, West Virginia, obviously we're mainly football state mainly, but we're also a basketball state as well. And we also have some cross country runners who have made themselves known nationally. I mean, I came from University High School, from cross country, because I wasn't really too much of a basketball player, but I was more of a cross country runner, and I ran with some of the best in the state. And they were even prior to whenever I came to high school, we had kids that were running the Penn relays and doing these national events, and they weren't getting any type of recognition for it, any pay, getting paid and stuff like that, obviously. But they represented their school. So yeah, I think the school definitely deserves to get its fair share of revenue as well.
Real quick, I was a 4-year member of the cross country team, and quick shout out to Coach Ed. He's by far the best coach in the state and one of the best coaches around. He's been around for years now, and he really knows what he's doing. He reproduces every year, and multiple state championships with him and Division I runners, and it's a great program he's got.
Absolutely. Running with Coach Ed the last 4 years from 2014 and 2018 was amazing. It was an amazing ride. And it's awesome you bring that up, because, CrossFit, like I mentioned before, we had a lot of top runners. We had Seth Edwards, who was one of the top in the state. We had Alex Miner, Tristan Harvey. We had a lot of other people that, the Palladino twins, both Andy and Millie Palladino used to be one of the top runners in the state, and Millie was one of the top girls runners in the country. We had Irene Riggs from Morgantown, who was also one of the best runners in the country, and she already ran Nike invitationals and stuff like that. it's stuff like that that they need to get recognized for. And also that's for it. I love that it benefits the student, but I would also love if it benefited the school as well, which I do think is a big downgrade of it. But other than that, I think the NIL for students is a good idea. But I just hope that it doesn't go out of control.
For sure. And like you said, it sucks for the school that they can't be recognized too, because it brings in revenue for the school itself and the people. And like you said, it's not all about just football and basketball. There's other state or other, really good sports throughout the state and good athletes in other sports besides the two big sports. But yeah, it sucks for the schools, but it can be a really big benefit for the athletes itself.
Absolutely. And like I said before, hopefully this thing goes into full. I think it's going into full swing. It's official now, and I think it's going to be a good idea. Just like I said, hopefully it doesn't get out of control. But then, and you know, well, let's see what happens this fall and this winter to see who's going to be recognized. So, and anybody who's looking for support, I saw Spring Mills tight end who's going to be playing at Cincinnati, Mr. Xavier Anderson, part of the state championship squad from basketball and the state runner-up team for football. He's also looking for support as well, so I'll definitely mention his name out. Xavier Anderson is one of the best athletes in the state, so definitely give him some recognition, show him some love as well. So I'll just mention that here on Twitter and all that stuff. But other than that, NIL, West Virginia, love that we're doing it, and I think more states are getting on that bandwagon as well. So I think it's great. So, and I think that's